The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks. So I just got some breaking news delivered to me by my co-host, Mr. Howarth, who is very tied in to, top-of-the-line important soccer news. Why don't you tell it? Now, by the time this comes out, it will be old news. But for us, right now, as we tape this, it's new news.
Yeah, it's new news. I mean, it just came out recently, not in the last day or so. We have a new coach on our MLS team here in Chicago, the Chicago Fire. Former U.S. men's national team coach Greg Berhalter is going to be the new chief of football, I think, or director of football is his title, as well as the head coach of the Chicago Fire. So we're really excited about having him as part of Chicago Fire. I was able to send him a little WhatsApp. He responded and said thanks. We're excited to have him on board. So I think a new future for Chicago Fire.
Well, I gotta say, I wasn't thrilled with him as the coach of the national team, but as running Chicago Fire, I'm actually totally excited because the Fire have been kind of disregarded for the last decade or so.
Yeah, I mean, the only way is up, unfortunately, right now, in terms of standings. You can only look at where they're at. They're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Yeah. So the job is one to get them up there. And we're excited to see how that goes. So, yeah, looking forward to it, to a brand new tradition, brand new history of Chicago Fire soccer. So,
and if we have any problems, we can just WhatsApp him now.
Yeah, exactly right. There you go.
All right, that sounds great. All right, well, it's time for Free Kicks.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
So, we were talking off the air because I was checking Twitter this morning to see if Ten Hag had been fired yet by Manchester City, and he hasn't been as of this taping. So
that's right, Manchester United.
What did I say?
Manchester City.
That's a wish on my part.
Got all these Man City fans all fired up. Do you even know what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think, wouldn't it be great if he was hired by Man City and they fired Pep?
Yeah. They went to the wrong stadium. I thought I was at Man United.
But, as you mentioned to me off the air, I'm an idiot for looking for news like that on Twitter because Twitter is a cesspool. And you're 100% correct. Where should people go to find out information like that?
Just listen to this podcast. This is all the information you need. I mean, certainly, BBC is the gold standard of information. That's where I get a lot of my information, and it's breaking news. I have been listening to TalkSport a lot too. So they have an app. So I've been listening a lot to that, which is, again, football discussion all day long. It's just, again, it goes down. You're going down different avenues. You're going down some dead ends sometimes, but it's nice to listen to sometimes what's going on. And it's live, like 24 hours. So they have a show. They have a show actually from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Oh, my God. And one thing you will never hear on that show is somebody mixing up Manchester City and Manchester United.
That's right. Yeah, because they'll get paid for doing what they need to do.
Oh, so
Absolutely.
That's the difference. I think we might have tapped into something there.
There you go.
All right. Well, so last week we promised everyone that this week we would delve into the Champions League because we are at a kind of a break period there for the Champions League, a couple of weeks until they play again. There are 4 teams from the Premier League, and really that's who we're kind of following in this Champions League.
Sure.
That's Liverpool, Aston Villa, Manchester City, and Arsenal. And all 4 of them are doing just fine when it comes to the Champions League.
Yeah, all unbeaten. There you go.
Right.
Tells you everything you need to know.
Now, 2 of them have 6 points. That's Liverpool and Aston Villa. Villa, I think, of these 4 teams, had the most impressive victory.
Huge win against your Bayern Munich team.
Yeah. So congratulations to Aston Villa. They're sitting at 6 points and looking good. Liverpool has 6 points. Man City and Arsenal each have 4 points because they had draws against Italian teams. Arsenal had a draw against Atalanta, and City tied Inter Milan. So, but let's talk about how they've been playing in the Champions League compared to some of these other clubs. What's your assessment here after the first weekend really of the Champions League?
My initial assessment is the table. Have you tried to look at it? It's unbelievable.
There's like 40 teams or something, right? I mean,
I'm scrolling up and down it right now. There's 36 teams.
36 teams, yeah.
So you've got to kind of scroll up and down to be able to make sure that you see everything. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. But I'm actually liking the format. I think there has been some blowouts. There's been some games where the scores, like Borussia Dortmund's got, in 2 games have scored 10 goals.
Right.
So that gives you an idea. But I'm liking how it's working out. And certainly you're going to see typically what ends up happening, the cream will rise to the top.
Right.
So we've got 2 games in. They're going to play a total of 7 or 8 games in this first kind of round. So you're going to see all of them kind of rise in. And to be fair, 3 of our teams that we follow in the Premier League are in the top 8 already. So They would already qualify. And realistically, Arsenal, you could say, are tied for that position too, because there's a bunch of teams with 4 points. But yeah, I think the biggest win was obviously, like we mentioned, Villa over Bayern Munich. And certainly Liverpool have started off well, beating AC Milan as well. So
yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things where you don't want to say, "Hey, I'm in 33rd place" or something like that, because that sounds really bad. Exactly. And coming up, there really aren't the games coming up aren't really that exciting. The Liverpool's got a couple of games against German teams, Leipzig. Now Leverkusen is a team that is become a powerhouse over the last couple of years. Yeah, definitely. And they're going up against a team that probably we don't know too much about in terms of their overall play, and they're actually doing pretty well. Their next game is against Brest, so they're playing against them on the 23rd of October. So Leverkusen, who've obviously been powerhouses, certainly in the German league, and have won both games, so that'd be good. But Brest has also won both games too, which is quite surprising. Villa has Bologna coming up and Bruges. And I'm looking here at City has Sporting and Feyenoord.
Feyenoord, you got it, yeah.
Feyenoord. And then Arsenal is going to be playing Inter and Sporting. So those are the kind of the games that are coming up in the next few weeks. And that is your Champions League update. So right now, what's happening on the pitch?
Premier League football. What's happening on the pitch?
What's happening on the domestic pitch in England? And boy, oh boy, we're heading into the international break right now. As we kind of predicted at the beginning of the season, we have really no surprises near the top. We've got Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Villa. Is kept out of the top 4 only because they could only manage a draw against Manchester United, which just means the Adam and Rick curse continues. Because we predicted bad things for Manchester United, and they did manage to get a point out of that game, which is, I think, a victory as far as they're concerned at this stage.
Yeah, so in terms of how things are going for them, I think they'll definitely take a point. And I think it was at Villa, I believe.
Yes,
the game was at Villa. Yeah, it was at Villa. So an away point is definitely monumental for them. And again, when you look at where they're at, they're in 14th spot,
I know.
Manchester United. So the only way is up. And they've got some work to do. But, Ten Hag finds this way of trying to... he gets out of these jams, and he's been in quite a few jams in the 3 years he's been there.
Yeah, he has.
And they always seem to find a result when they need it. So we'll see.
2 cups. He's won 2 cups. He won the Carabao Cup 2 years ago, and last year he won the FA Cup. So he's got a couple of trophies that he's managed to win, which is probably keeping him afloat. But I was watching Gary Neville speak about his former club, and the way he describes it, I think is spot on, and that is they don't have a style at all. They really don't. Like what kind of a style are they playing? There's nothing really to latch onto, is there, when you watch this club?
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point. And I think that there's no real distinction in terms of what they're trying to do. It seems a little bit all over the place, whereas you've got other teams like a Tottenham with Ange Postecoglou has a clear style. They're going to press, they're going to attack, and they're not going to defend. So that's basically how it kind of works for them. But ultimately, this is either going to be the downfall for him, or he's going to be able to pick it up and find some results. We don't know what the future holds. People are saying it's quiet right now, so that could be either good or it could also be bad. We don't know. But from what I heard, I think he's taken a few days off because of the international break. He went back to Holland. When they come back, we'll see where he goes. But if he doesn't start getting some results and they don't start moving up the table, then his tenure is definitely going to be questioned.
Right. If he was the Chelsea manager, he'd be gone already, wouldn't he?
It's a good question. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, he could well be.
So the person that I've seen kind of sniffing around, hovering, that job. I don't know if you've seen any of the interviews of Thomas Tuchel.
No, I haven't. But I've heard his name's linked for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. If I were Ten Hag, I'd keep an eye on that guy because he is known to kind of weasel his way into some of these positions. That's my opinion. I can say that.
Hey, could happen.
All right. I want to talk about another team that we don't talk about a lot. And that is Fulham, who I've watched now a couple of times, and they are a fun team to watch this year. They've got some talent. I'm always a big fan of watching those guys because Jimenez up in front. When he was with the Wolves, I always felt like he was kind of thrown to the Wolves, no pun intended, because he didn't have a lot of service.
Yeah.
But did you see that assist that he made in that game this past weekend?
I did, yeah. It was a heck of a back flick that straight across the 6-yard box for Pereira to score. Yeah, it was pretty nice. It was just instinctive. It's what you do when you played the game, and he just did it fantastically well. The skill was tremendous.
With, two guys on him.
Oh, yeah.
It was just amazing. It was one of my favorite things. What do you think about this Fulham team?
Yeah, they got some pieces. I mean, I do like what they got. I mean, Joachim Andersen, who they got, came over from Crystal Palace. I really rate him highly as a defender. There you go. Look at me. I'm talking about defenders right
there
away.
He is.
But the centre-back position has been probably something they've struggled with a little bit. And he's come in and really kind of made things. And then you've got players who've been around but seem to be playing better. I don't know if you saw the clip with Adama Traore when he ran past Walker. It was unbelievable how fast he is. I didn't realize how quick he was.
Yeah, if he could he could shoot the ball, if he could kick it, he would be dangerous because he's not a great finisher. But man, he's fast and he's so strong. Trying to cover him is very difficult.
Yeah, definitely. He is fast. He is strong, but like you said, can't finish. But they've got players that seem like they've struggled at other places and seem like they've done well, like Pereira, who was obviously with Man United, has come back. Reece Nelson, he's on loan from Arsenal, but scored some big goals for them last year. Alex Iwobi, who was at Everton, is playing well. So it seems like they're the lost players altogether and probably their stronger players. Anthony Robinson from the US
Right.
is doing fantastically well, and Emil Smith-Rowe from Arsenal, another player who wasn't getting much time. So the lost players of other teams have all got together. They've jumped onto Fulham, and they're doing all right.
Yeah, and I know you love Fulham. That's your second favorite team.
Of course,
right?
of course.
Because they're right next door to Chelsea, so there's no rivalry or anything there, right?
No, definitely not.
So that, to me, is the team I'm going to be keeping an eye on as a potential dark horse this year. Now, I don't think they're going to make it into Europe, but they're fun to watch, and as an American, the bonus is being able to watch Robinson. He is really a world-class player.
Definitely. Playing on that outside back position, fantastic player. Left back, he's going to be a big part of the US team for years to come as well. I don't think he's too super old either, 27. So, yeah, in his prime of his career right now.
Yep, that's right. And he's one of those American players that has a British accent. So,
yes, yes, he does.
Usually our best players have some sort of an accent. Just ask your dear friend Greg Berhalter. In fact, why don't you WhatsApp him right now and see what he has to say about it. All right, now I like bringing in these odd stats, these weird stats of the week. And this week, I have some Premier League records that I've been delving into. That there's a whole website called Premier League Records that will never be broken. And I wanted to go over some of these with you because some of them are pretty entertaining, and see if you can guess some of these. For instance, who do you think has took the fewest games to score 3 hat tricks in the Premier League? 8 games. It took him 8 games to get 3 hat tricks.
Are you talking about a player or a team?
A player. One player. Which is why
the least amount of games to score those hat tricks. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Got to be Erling Haaland.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
What do you think about the most times hitting the woodwork in a single game, and that is 4 times in one game? And this happened in January of 2024.
Trying to think of probably a Man City player again.
Nope.
Maybe no.
It's a Liverpool player.
Okay. Oh, I know, Darwin Núñez.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, because he can never score. That's right. He's always missing.
And here's one. This is an American player that holds this record. Most consecutive games played, 310.
Tim Howard.
Close. Brad Friedel.
Brad Friedel, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
From August of 2004 to September of 2012. 310 games.
Got my picture with him. I saw him at the convention. Took a picture with him last year. Yeah.
There you go.
Super nice guy, yeah.
How about the most defeats in a row? Your dear friend Vince is going to know the answer to this one.
I would guess probably Sunderland.
Sunderland is correct. And then here's one. How about the smallest title-winning margin ever? This happened, within the last 15 years.
Well, it has to be Manchester United and Man City. It was goal differential, wasn't it?
It was. It was the 2011-2012 season. It was a 0 points difference at the end of the year. It was 8 goal differential.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Some of these other ones. How about longest managerial reign?
Well, probably has to be Alex Ferguson.
It's not. That's who I would have guessed, too. It's
Arsene Wenger.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's one from just last season. Most goals conceded in a single season by a team.
That was probably Sheffield United. The US went down. Yeah.
104. They gave up 104 goals last year. That is just unbelievable.
That's a rough season.
Yeah. And those are your weird stats of the week. All right. It's Free Kicks is brought to you by the Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Illinois Youth Soccer has been proudly serving the soccer community since 1975 and has a strong history of credibility. Illinois Youth Soccer is an official State Association and charter member of the U.S. Soccer Federation, administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, the Olympic Development Program, and administers U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org.
Okay, time for your favorite part of the show.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
All right, so I think you might get this one pretty easily this week, but we'll see. We'll see. And I'll tell you why. Because he's not from another country, right? He's English. We haven't done somebody who's just English, can't play for another country. He's just English, right?
Heaven forbid we do some English players in the English Premier League. About time.
There are a handful of them out there in that league. This one is 28 years old, and he is a defensive midfielder. Okay? He currently plays for one of the teams near the bottom of the table.
I'm going to have a guess.
Oh, no.
Right out of the gate. And it's going to be a player that recently joined. Is he playing for Ipswich Town?
He is. Wow, you're good.
I don't know why this just came to me when you said defensive midfielder. He's currently on loan from another team.
He is.
And he was playing for England for a while, but now he's kind of on the fringes. And
he's got 31 caps for England.
Yeah. Has to be Calvin Mark Phillips.
That's right. Playing now for his fourth Premier League club. And he came up through the Leeds system. That was his youth club. So he, came up there, and then he was part of that team that brought them up to the Premiership and was a star on Leeds, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes. I mean, realistically, if it wasn't for that whole situation with Leeds, he wouldn't have gotten the big moves that he did to Manchester City, and certainly the amount of playing time that he's gotten for England. Gareth Southgate loved him, but he was under Bielsa, and I think he credits Bielsa for really kind of making him into a position. And it's funny you bring him up because I was watching something about him not too long ago, and he was talking about how he didn't play as a defensive midfielder until Bielsa came in.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
So he started playing as a defensive midfielder at Leeds when Bielsa took over as the manager. So I think that was 2018, something like that.
Yeah.
So he was actually a centre back. Could you imagine?
No, I can't really.
Yeah. So they moved him up to a defensive centre midfielder, and obviously did pretty well.
Yeah, and he's one of those weird cases where he signs the big deal with Manchester City, and then Pep obviously just didn't like the way he played, right? Because he never put him on the in the roster. He was often not even on the bench. Yeah.
I mean, he signed a big contract, so obviously that was a lot of money for him. Great for him. That's probably made him a huge amount of money, and so and really just never lived up to the hype of what was going on. So he was a player that probably just worked in that Bielsa system. You take him out of that system, and he's been struggling really ever since. Yeah,
actually, I watched him play this past weekend with Ipswich Town, and it's kind of rough. He has not been playing great.
Yeah, he got beat a couple of times. I think he got beat on the goal as well. It was he's not quite where he needs to be. But hopefully he'll continue to. He'll get the play. He just needs more games. That's what's really he needs. He hasn't played very much, and he got injured, I believe, as well. So he just needs to play a bit more.
Let's hope it's not. He's not on the career trajectory of a Jesse Lingard or a Dele Alli, where they had their little burst in the sun and then kind of drifted away.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was watching an interview with Southgate during the European Cup finals, and he was lamenting that he wasn't part of the team. He's like, "Boy, we really have not been able to replace him."
That's right.
Do you remember that?
I remember. Yeah, I do remember him saying that. And everybody was shocked about.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of other players that could play that position. So yeah, a bit surprising.
Right. That's true. All right. Now, this is time for my favorite part of the show. And in this week, I think I'm a little bit depressed about what it's going to tell us. But it's time for this.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV Tip.
It's a sad weekend, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah, it's unfortunately there's no official games in the Premier League. So just go do something else. There's your tip.
Yeah, you know those people that live in the same house as you, called your family. Meet them. Talk to them.
Exactly.
Go bowling, miniature golfing, do something together.
When there's soccer games on, people walk into my house and they're like, "Where's Dad? Where's Adam?"
Yeah.
Oh, of course he is, right in front of the television watching a game. So they know exactly where I'm going to be. So,
and if you're anything like me, you don't like having conversations while you're watching the game. Yeah. It's like can't you see I'm doing something here? I'm watching the game.
I agree with it. I don't like having conversations, period. This is the most I speak during anything anyway.
I appreciate you saving it up.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. But, so in terms of games, what we got? Well, actually, there is an exciting game to watch, partly because it's a new era. It's a new era in U.S. men's soccer. We have U.S.'s first game under Mauricio Pochettino, the Chelsea, Tottenham, PSG manager. I think it's definitely worth watching. That's going to be on Saturday, 8 p.m. I believe it's on TNT. I think you can also find it on Peacock as well, lots of other channels, but definitely worth watching. They play Panama at 8 p.m. It's not going to be an easy game. Panama always give us a good match, so it'll be a good test to see where everything is. It looks like he's got all his players. It's an international call-up, so he's going to have Pulisic, he's going to have Anthony Robinson, he's going to have all the players at his disposal. And Pulisic is playing great, by the way, scoring a bunch of goals in Italy.
He's looking good.
So let's see how things go, and let's get behind Poch in preparation for the World Cup in 26.
And you can tell us next time we have a show, what you and Greg were WhatsApping each other during the game, because I'm sure he'll have some thoughts. I'm sure. Yeah. All right. Free Kicks is brought to you by Green White Soccer Club, a club that has been around for nearly 70 years. Just amazing. If you ever want to find out more about Green White Soccer, you can go to greenwhitesoccer.org. There are teams from age 5 all the way up to over 50. And by the way, our over 50 team won their division. And they're playing for the Phil Reese Cup, which is like a little playoff at the end of the season. They're the top seed. So we're rooting for Green White, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, listen, because there's really no games this weekend, we're not going to gather next week to talk again, but we will be back again in a couple of weeks. And before we go, we have people to thank. We need to thank executive producer Tony Lasano with Opie Shows. We need to thank Ed Silla for the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great talk radio. It hasn't died. No, it's just moved to a better place, and that's radiomisfits.com. And we'll be back again now. If you're keeping track at home, we'll be back again in 2 weeks with another episode of Free Kicks.
The preceding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at radiomisfits.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?